If you don't have a direct line to your clients and customers, you don't have a reliable way to make sales. You can't build a business on platforms you don't own and can't control, because at the end of the day, when an algorithm calls the shots, it's not a direct line to your people. Now, if you want a direct line, you need an email list, plain and simple. The best part is you don't have to figure it all out on your own. Enter the List to Launch Lab, my signature program that teaches my exact email system and blueprint for starting, nurturing, and monetizing your very own email list. The doors are open right now, but they are closing soon. Get started now at jennakutcher.com/email. You have the power to create a system that ensures the right people get the right message from your business at the right time. Join the List to Launch Lab today at jennakutcher.com/email before the doors close at midnight on May 22nd. That's jennakutcher.com/email. I cannot wait for you to start growing your list that you can launch to. I recently took a sourdough class, and honestly, I think it was everything I needed to remind myself that there is so much pleasure in being and not just doing. Hey, my name is Jenna Kutcher, and I am obsessed with all things business, marketing, numbers, and helping you to navigate both the messy and the magical seasons of this thing called life. I'm a small town mama who took a $300 camera, grew a successful photo biz, and now I work from home and run a 7-figure online business. I teach you the tried and true secrets to building a career you adore. Shy away from the real talk? No way. Money, hardship, growth, loss, and marketing are all topics we discuss here. Think of this as your one-stop shop for happy hour with a gal pal mixed with business school. Pull up a seat, make sure you're cozy, and get ready to be challenged and encouraged while you learn. This is the Gold Digger Podcast. I saw a post the other day and it said, someone asked me to describe who I am, and I couldn't say my profession, a wife, or a mother. And that hit different. And honestly, I think that for a lot of us, this is a true challenge. And it's usually one that we're dealing with in isolation. In a world where we often lead with, tell me what you do, it's not really a space to share who we are outside of the roles that we play. Over the last few years, I have been on this deep dive of introspection and asking myself the hard questions and trying to give myself the time and the space to rediscover who Jenna really is and who Jenna wants to become. Today, I want to share a little bit with you about what I'm learning, what I'm leaning into, how I am exploring this nuanced topic, and the questions that I'm asking myself pretty much on a daily basis. And I want to just say I'm doing this as someone who has not fully arrived and honestly doesn't plan to ever fully arrive, but as someone who is deeply committed to being a human outside of being a mom, a wife, and an entrepreneur, which are my favorite roles on planet Earth, but also not the totality of who I am or who I want to become in this lifetime. Let's dive on in. Finding a service solution that helps you better connect with customers and keep them happy can feel impossible. Like trying to remember the name of that girl you just met at a networking event. Was it Mia or Leah? Or could it be Sophia? Yeah, that kind of impossible. HubSpot's all new Service Hub can help. Well, with the service solution part at least, it brings service and success together on one powerful platform for the first time ever. Between an AI-powered help desk and an AI chatbot that handles frontline tickets fast, you can scale, support, and drive retention and revenue. Plus, it comes with a customer success workspace that helps reps anticipate customer needs. With a full 360 view of every customer, your go-to-market team can keep a pulse on accounts before ever trying to upsell or cross-sell. And you know what that means? Better service and happier customers at every stage of their journey. Visit HubSpot.com/service to do more for your customers today. That's HubSpot.com/service. Growing a business can feel really hard, and starting one can be even harder. We as entrepreneurs need a community around us to learn from, to ask questions to, and to be inspired by. That's why you're here, right? Well, there's another great podcast that will help with that. It's called This is Small Business. You'll hear from people you love, including me. That's right. I was just on an episode of This is Small Business. The episode is all about why you need an email list. You'll hear me share all the strategies I use to grow my email list, how we make on average $2 a month for every subscriber, and you'll hear how cutting my salary in half was actually what led me to grow my business to 7 figures. The host is Andrea Marquez, and she dives into all the questions you have about how to start and grow a small business. Like, how can you use social media to reach new customers? How do you get a business loan? And how much should you charge for your products? This show is full of practical insights you can apply to your business right now. Go follow This is Small Business, an original podcast from Amazon, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your shows. Big thanks to This is Small Business for sponsoring this show. Put This is Small Business alongside Goal Digger in your podcast rotation now. It totally hit me the other day that 2020 was 4 years ago. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I was laying in bed this morning thinking about this episode that I wanted to record for you today. And I was thinking, like, the last few years I've been really introspective. No, it's been over 4 years that I have been really diving into the questions that I'm going to share with you today on this episode. And it's really interesting because in 2020, that was the year that I started writing my book, How Are You Really? And the premise of the book is living your truth one answer at a time, asking yourself the hard questions and then waiting to hear sometimes the hard answers. And I feel like 2020 was kind of the start of me just cracking open and diving deeper and getting really curious about who I am outside of the business I've built and outside of the roles that I play in society. I still laugh because I remember this conversation. It stuck with me so clearly over the last 4 years. We were driving home from up north during 2020. Andrew and I were in the car. We were talking about a mutual friend of ours, and she's a mom and she's an entrepreneur. And I remember Drew saying, I wonder what her hobbies are. And I remember looking over at him in the car and being like, what are our hobbies? Like, we have no hobbies. And that was such an awakening to me of like, oh my gosh, we are like so boring. We are boring people. And so question one that I've been asking myself and that has really evolved with me over the last few years are, what are my hobbies outside of the roles that I play? So for me, what are my hobbies outside of motherhood and business? Or what are the things I enjoyed doing before becoming a mom or starting a business? So this is such a great place to start. I think that reconnecting with our hobbies is something that can make us come alive again. Now, here's something that I want to note. One of my greatest strengths as an entrepreneur, but also my Achilles heel as a human, is that I am always curious about how I can monetize something. It is something that has taken me incredibly far in the entrepreneurial world, but I also believe that it has stifled my ability to see the value in doing something for the pure enjoyment of it. I have been doing a ton of conscious unwiring within myself of some of the beliefs I've had, like, if I just work harder, everything will be okay. Or, I don't need to choose to rest. Like, I work at a different level. And I have started to really lean into the fact that like hobbies are selfish pleasure for me and something to enjoy just for me. And honestly, hobbies to me now feel very sacred. It's stuff that like doesn't usually see the internet. And it's areas of my life that I'm exploring, not for productivity's sake, not for the monetary outcome, but simply for the joy that is found within them. It's interesting. I was at a mastermind years ago before the world shut down. And I remember one of my friends led this meditation. And in the meditation, he said, what would your 8-year-old self be sad to know you no longer do? And the minute he said that, I pictured playing piano. I loved playing piano as a kid. I played all the way up through high school. I'm actually relatively decent at it. And when we built our house, I wanted to have a space for a piano. And honestly, as I'm recording this, I'm realizing I haven't made a lot of time for that piano. And that's an area that I want to spend more time in. And so it's been really interesting because I think that being a mom and watching the childlike wonder of my children and seeing their creativity and what excites them, it is almost like I'm remothering myself in a beautiful way. My mom was amazing, so not in that way, but just like nurturing that version of myself alongside of my kids. I feel like they are such a mirror for me of like, oh my gosh, remember when you would just sit at the table and color for hours? Or we've been building this intricate fairy house. And even before Coco went to school today, she ran downstairs, she got these cute little things from her dollhouse and she had all these ideas for the fairies. And like, just that brings me so much joy. And it reminds me of like that creative kid is still in you. And so I have been really getting interested and curious about like, what are my hobbies and like, what do I enjoy outside of work that has nothing to do with work, that isn't content, that has no other drive except for pleasure and curiosity. So my challenge for you is this, like, what are some hobbies that you could reintroduce into your routine, even if it's just a short amount of time each week, whether it's pulling out your watercolor paints or getting the air in the tires of your bike so you can go out on a ride, or sitting down at the table and doing a paint by number? Like, what could that be? One thing that I'm laughing at is I'm watching the clock right now because I mixed up a bunch of sourdough dough this morning and I'm watching the timing because I'm like, I got to go do some stretch and folds in 30 minutes. But I recently took a sourdough class and honestly, I think it was everything I needed to remind myself that there is so much pleasure in being and not just doing. And I recognize making sourdough is an act of doing, but it has slowed me down so much. It has just brought back so much joy. And it has been something that has just challenged me to like enjoy the slowness of it and the gift of being able to give my friends a loaf of sourdough and enjoying something that I created with my own two hands. It's been very pivotal. I know sourdough was trendy like 4 years ago, but I am telling you, like, for my wiring of efficiency and productivity, it has been such a beautiful, beautiful thing to ground me and crack me up. And so a few of my current hobbies that will probably shift and evolve in the next 6 months is sourdough bread baking, paint by numbers. Drew and I have a really fun one that we're working on. I want to ride my bike more now that it's getting warm out, weightlifting. We are learning how to be beekeepers. So we're going to have bees, getting back to playing the piano. I'm reading some books on spirituality. I also joined the local rowing club. So like, I am just going all in on like, what do I want to do for fun? And it has honestly been so life-giving. It's a time in my life where I am more excited about the things outside of my work than the work itself. And that feels like very awesome. And I'm also feeling like out of the weeds of like little kids. My youngest is 2, so she's still small. But yeah, I feel like we're like entering this next stage and I'm loving it. Okay, question number 2. How do I define success and fulfillment in my personal life? And I came to the realization that for me, defining success and fulfillment comes down to one thing: having a balanced nervous system, having a calm nervous system. Like, to me, that is true success. And let me tell you, I'm around some of the most successful entrepreneurs on the planet these days. Most of them do not have balanced nervous systems. I can literally feel their energy when I'm with them and see the stress. And so this has been something where I have just recognized like success isn't like smashing last year's numbers. Like, for me, it is like that peace and ease that I've been craving. Hey, goal diggers. Lately, I've been getting excited to finish furnishing our new home, which is why I want to tell you about a brand that we absolutely love, which is Article. I have been a fan and a customer of Article for years. I'm always blown away by the curated assortment of furniture styles they offer. They have mid-century modern, coastal, industrial, Scandinavian, and even boho designs. There is something for everyone, no matter your taste. In our last house, we had their sofa and leather chairs. At our lake house, we have their dining table and chairs. We also just ordered some of their outdoor furniture for our new patio. Like, if you can't tell, we are obsessed with Article. The quality and style are top notch. Article's online only model means that they can offer some great prices with fast and hassle-free delivery. Pick the delivery time that works for you, and they keep you updated every step of the way. Article's customer is also amazing. They're knowledgeable, friendly, and always there when you need them. If you're like me and you're itching to give your home a makeover, I highly recommend checking out Article. They believe in delightful design for every home, and thanks to their commitment to style, quality, and affordability, it's never been easier to transform your space. Article is offering our listeners $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. To claim, visit article.com/goaldigger and the discount will be automatically applied at checkout. That's article.com/goaldigger for $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. I know what it's like to feel completely thrown off your game because you're just not motivated or your mind isn't in the right space. That's why I'm thrilled to tell you all about superhuman activations. Now, if meditation isn't for you, you need to try activations instead. Activations are a groundbreaking new type of audio that's this mix of a motivational podcast, cinematic music, and guided visualization. They are fundamentally different from meditation and a lot more exciting to listen to. Instead of calming you, activations are motivating, energizing, and transformative. You'll reach your goals faster, whether you want to earn more money, get clarity, achieve a health goal, or feel like you're reaching your highest potential. They're essentially a shortcut to get to where you want to be and the ultimate way to visualize your future self. And you can only find them on the Superhuman app. I use and love Superhuman and find myself playing activations several times a day, whether I'm baking bread, doing my skincare, or even when I'm in the shower. Superhuman offers something completely different to other apps out there, and I cannot wait for you to try them. Take advantage of their 14-day free trial and head over to activations.com/goaldigger to start your trial and save over 60% off your membership. There is literally no risk. If you change your mind and forget to cancel after the trial, you're covered by their money-back guarantee. The discount is only available through their website, not the App Store. So visit activations.com/goaldigger now for over 60% off. Do not miss out on this crazy deal. They rarely do discounts and it expires soon. That's activations.com/goaldigger. About a year ago, we met with Thea. If you've read my book, you will know who Thea is. She is the one who inspired my book. She is just this amazing, intuitive woman. She does massage therapy. She's just an awesome woman. She's been in my life ever since that first massage where she told me there's something you need to do and you're not doing it. And that day I started writing my book. And about a year ago, I went to see her and we were just sitting on the porch looking at Lake Superior and talking together. And I remember just saying, in my life right now, I feel like motherhood and everyone else comes before like me. And we all know that line, like you can't pour from an empty cup. I get it. But it's so easy to get lost in everyone else's needs. And I would argue that there are times in your life where that is what needs to happen in order to survive. And Thea challenged me that day and she was telling me about a practice she had in her own life called a sacred day. And I kind of scoffed. I was like, wow, I have kids, I have a business. Like, what the heck is a sacred day? And it was just this time where she could spend it however she wanted without judgment. So if she wanted to take a nap, if she wanted to read a book, if she wanted to go out and do appointments, like whatever that was. And I remember just thinking, there's no way I can do this. Like Drew's a stay-at-home dad. I can't just be like, peace, I'm going on my sacred day. Good luck. And so that was when we made the decision to invite extra help into our lives. And so Drew has a sacred day on Mondays. I have a sacred day on Fridays. And it has been so life-giving to both of us. And I recognize there's so much privilege in being able to have that time and to be able to afford to pay somebody else. But even just a few hours a week of just whatever you want to do, the no judgment zone. And so for me, it's been so amazing because I have been reading more. I have been resting more. I went to a yoga class last week, just figuring out like, what does my soul actually crave right now? And how do I kind of protect the sacred, like protect the soul and the spirit. And I feel like for a lot of us, self-care looks like, in our mind's eye, it looks like a bubble bath or face mask. And I've realized that self-care for me is making time for a hot yoga class or reading a book instead of scrolling on my phone or listening to a meditation and not a podcast when I have downtime. It doesn't have to take over your life, but it can be incorporated in. But to get to that space, it has to be prioritized and communicated. And your partner or your spouse is not going to read your mind on what this means or what this can look like. But I also realized it's been so beneficial for Drew because, during the week, he's with the kids. And so him having one day where he can go to the YMCA and shoot hoops with his buddy or, do a coffee date with another friend, like it's like that time where we get to be unattached to the roles we play and get curious with what do I really want or need. So maybe you're like me when Thea told me about this and you're scoffing right now and you're like, as if I wish this could be, but let me just plant that seed that maybe this could be possible sooner than you think. Question number 3 is, what kind of relationships do I want to cultivate outside of my immediate family and work environment? So the other day I was in the car on a long drive going to see some friends and I texted one of my best friends. We talk every single day. And I had this realization that, lately she's been incredibly social, but I kind of woke up to the fact that like she's only been social with people that are in our industry. And that's not a bad thing. I love the people in our industry. Some of my dearest friends are in the industry. But I also realized that as I was driving to be with friends who I've known for over a decade, I was so excited to be with them because I just felt like I could just be. Like, they don't care about my latest launch. They don't care about how many downloads a podcast gets or how many books I've sold. Like, we don't even talk about that because I just get to be when I'm with them. And so I voice memoed this friend of mine. I said, I just want to share something I've been thinking about, and I just want you to sit with it. And this is totally coming from a place of love. But all of your relationships lately are in the industry and you've been incredibly social, but you're also incredibly drained. And I feel like you're always on. You have to always be on and ready and that persona of yourself, which is beautiful, right? But what would it look like for you to have friends where you can just be who you are and it has nothing to do with what you do? And it was funny because I sent that voice memo and it didn't fully go through. And then I was like, oh no, I totally ticked her off. No, she voice memoed me back later and she said, you know what? My therapist just said the same thing. And when I think about this of like, what kind of relationships do I want outside of my immediate family and work environment? For me, moving back home 5 years ago, I was building this business, growing a baby, starting a family. And like all I really had time for in terms of getting together with was my family. And I loved it. Anytime I had free time and space, I wanted to be with my family. Like I hadn't been near them in over a decade. And so my family was it. And I feel like now that we're out of the weeds with parenthood and we're getting more connected in the community, I have more space and flexibility to be with other friends. But I just think it's something to think about, because if your friends are people that you are paying or that there is some other agreement within that, like you don't really get to be yourself. There's always that like reciprocity at play, or like scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And like that to me isn't like a true deep friendship. And so over the past few years, I've actually done some really awesome episodes about cultivating relationships and friendships. This is something I have been really prioritizing. So there's episode number 714, how to actually make and keep friends as a busy entrepreneur. I'm linking that up in today's show notes and show description. And this one is a really great episode of just talking about like, what does it actually look like to be in pursuit of real friendships? But here's what I'll say is invest in relationships, like make an effort to nurture friendships and relationships outside of your family and your business circles. Schedule regular outings with your friends, join parenting groups, participate in community events, expand your social network, connect with people who share your interests. When I did that sourdough class, my mom and I did it together. And most of the women were like my mother's age, but I enjoyed being with them every week. Like we felt like this community working towards this goal together. And it was just beautiful. It was just reminded me of like, too, the power of like elders in your life and learning from people who have gone before you. And it was just awesome. Tomorrow night, I'm getting together with some local moms and we get together once a month and it's just such good time. And like, I just love connecting with them about where we're at with motherhood and marriage. A couple weeks ago, I went to a high school friend's baby shower and got to spend time. I hadn't been with my core group of high school girls in 15 years. And we went to the shower at noon and we didn't leave till 8 p.m. Like we had so much to catch up on. And so I've just been really prioritizing friendships and not just industry relationships, but like true ride or die friendships. And I think that that has changed so much for me. The other night I was awake in the middle of the night and I was just thinking about this thought of like the things that we tell ourselves we'll do when life slows down. And I don't know if you've ever had a similar experience, but like life is not going to slow down. It's only getting busier. Time is only moving faster. And it's not going to slow down. We have to slow it down. And like I woke up the next day, I called my grandparents. I talked to my sister-in-law on the phone. I went to yoga. I sent a gift to a friend in the mail. Like when I thought of that, I'm like, relationships are everything. And I've been really leaning into that fact a lot more these days. Question number 4 is, what do I want my legacy to be beyond my career and family? So I think this is huge. And I heard this line the other day and I just thought, whoa. It is, I want to leave a legacy, but am I willing to live a legacy? This is a huge question I've been asking myself. And honestly, I'm not sure what this is going to truly look like. I feel like I've stopped trying to define like, hey, what is my life's purpose? And I flipped the question to ask myself, what is my purpose in this stage of life? A lot of times I think we're paralyzed in waiting for like our purpose to show up or like to understand like, this is the thing I am put on this planet to do. And when we do that, I think we are so paralyzed that we don't take any action. And so instead, I've been really asking myself, okay, in this stage of life with my children at this age, with what I know that I know right now, what is my purpose in life right now? And I feel like it eliminates the urgency of like figuring out like, this is my entire legacy. This is what people are going to say at my funeral someday. And it just lets you define, here's where I'm best serving my life, my family, my team, my business at this stage of life. For a lot of years, I've been really active in donating to different causes that I love. And that stage of life for me was like, hey, I have money, but I don't have a lot of time. And lately I've been feeling more of a pull to donate my time and money to get more involved with the organizations that I care about. And the other day I applied to like be a volunteer at a local soup kitchen and just different things like that. And so again, that stage of life, the past stage of life where all I could do was give money, that's great. I was very honest about that. This stage of life, I'm like, hey, I have more bandwidth. I have more time. What would that look like? And so again, just kind of getting clear on like, what is the purpose of this stage of life? And like, how do I just live into that? Goal diggers, we all know the B2B landscape can be a bit complex. From lengthy buying cycles to complicated decision-making processes, reaching your target audience can be tough. But I found a solution tailored just for you: LinkedIn ads. A whopping 79% of B2B content marketers say LinkedIn produces the best results for paid media. That's because with LinkedIn ads, you're not just casting a wide net and hoping for the best, you're strategically building relationships and driving real results. We're talking about a platform with over 1 billion members, including 180 million senior level executives and 10 million C-level executives. You are networking with the actual decision makers. And LinkedIn's targeting and measurement tools are specifically designed for B2B marketers, meaning you're not wasting time or money on irrelevant leads. In fact, in the tech industry, LinkedIn ads have been shown to generate 2 to 5 times higher return on ad spend compared to other social media platforms. Using LinkedIn ads allows you to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to industry trends and developments, whether it's finding the perfect partner for a collaboration or uncovering new opportunities for growth. LinkedIn can be your secret weapon. Make B2B marketing everything it can be and get $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/goal to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/goal. Terms and conditions apply. When it comes to content creation, you either do it because you love it or because you know it's a powerful business tool. Now, either way, it takes a ton of work. Whether you're building your website from scratch or struggling to manage payments, you need Kajabi. Kajabi is the ultimate one-stop shop that's been my go-to for almost a decade. Yes, nearly a decade. It's designed to help creators and entrepreneurs build thriving online businesses with steady recurring income. Whether it's blogging, coaching, or podcasting, Kajabi Kajabi makes it simple to transform your passion into profitable online courses, exclusive membership sites, and so much more. Over the years, Kajabi has been my rock, from hosting my signature courses like the Pinterest Lab to handling transactions without taking a single penny of my money. That's right, you get to keep 100% of what you earn. With Kajabi, you get powerful analytics, simple payment options, effective email marketing tools, and beautiful website templates that you can customize. And here's a little secret. You don't need a massive following to earn a great income. There are thousands of creators on Kajabi who are making 6 and 7 figures with less than 50,000 followers, and you can be one of them. Right now, Kajabi is offering a free 30-day trial to start your business if you go to kajabi.com/goal. That's kajabi.com/goal. Join the creators and entrepreneurs who have made over $7 billion today at kajabi.com/goal. Question 5. What boundaries do I need to work towards incorporating in order to create the time and the space to be a human outside of the roles that I play? Establishing clear boundaries between work and personal life will help prevent burnout. And I recently shared that I just felt really burnt out. And I've always struggled with this idea of balance. I just don't think balance exists. I think balance is this lie that we're sold. But I have been getting a lot clearer on specific times for work-related tasks, and then also making a conscious effort to disconnect and focus on personal activities when I'm off the clock. Last night, somebody texted me, it was like 8 p.m. about a work thing. And like, I'm just not going to respond. Like, I am not working right now. And honestly, it kind of ticks me off that people text me like on the weekends or different things about work. And it's not my team. It's like outside industry people. And I'm like, hey, like there are different appropriate channels to reach out. And I'm communicating that and learning how to communicate that. But like, I have such clear boundaries of like, when I am done, I am done. Like my phone goes into our box. It is away and it's not an appropriate time. And so I've just had to start to think even more clearly of like, you know, what is my life and what is content? Where does the brand end and the human begin? And I've just been really curious about that. And it, you know, it's so fascinating because I think I look at a lot of what I've learned over the last, you know, decade plus. And I love having a personal brand because it means I get to just like show up and be me. But at the same time, it can get very convoluted of like, what is life? What is work? What is content? What is memories? And not sharing my children online anymore has just been such a great thing for me personally. I highly recommend it. Maybe I'll do an episode because we're coming up on a year, but it's been so powerful for me because then I get to take pictures of my kids simply for joy and memories. And it kind of, you know, started leaking its way into my work of like, hey, this isn't content. Like this is my life. And it's been a confusing place to be because I feel like I haven't felt as excited about showing up, or I'm like, what do I even have to say today? But I think, you know, asking that question of like, what boundaries do I need to incorporate to have the time and the space to be a human? I think it's just a great question. And I think that entrepreneurship never ends and our work never ends. And so if we don't get really clear on what that looks like, then we're always in work mode. And I was just talking to a friend this morning about, you know, intimacy within our relationships. And I think that for a lot of entrepreneurs, we're there, but we're not really there. Like our brains are wired and we are tired. And, you know, I think a lot of us could relate to that. And so the clearer we can get with the boundaries, the better we can really learn who we are outside of the work that we do. Question number 6, what brings me joy and fulfillment outside of my professional and parental roles? And this is a question I keep coming back to of like, what am I excited about? What is getting me excited? Obviously, I shared that I was burnt out, and the main indicator for me on this round of burnout, it's actually been many years before I felt this burnout, was that I was more excited about my sourdough starter, aka flour and water in a mason jar, than it was about a launch that we did as a company that broke records. And it really had me lean in because I started to just pay attention, like, what is this telling me right now? Like, what is this signaling? What do I need? It is so easy for me to get joy and fulfillment from being a mom. And it is equally very easy for me to get feelings of accomplishment from the work that I do. But it is not as easy for me to find joy and fulfillment in life. It's hard for me. And speaking from my own experience, like, I am so obsessed with productivity because to me, time is currency. And so for a very long time, I feel like I outsourced things in my life that maybe could have brought me joy. And so I've had to get clear of like letting that version of me be, because I was doing what I knew to do in those times. But now I'm like calling myself back in of like, what sounds like fun and interesting, like planting a garden. Like 3 years ago, you couldn't have paid me money to plant a garden. I'm like, I will pay a gardener to plant a garden. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, like having my hands in the soil, planting the seeds, like watching them grow, like getting the fruits of whatever the harvest is. If we get even a harvest in Duluth, Minnesota, who knows? But the curiosity is so compelling to me that the joy I think will be there simply because I am in this act of pleasure. I don't know how else to say it. And so I just keep coming back to that, like what brings me joy and fulfillment outside of my professional and parental roles. And if you're listening to this and you're like, I can't even answer that question, this is a good indicator of like, we need to find hobbies. We need to be curious. We need to be beginners again. I think that our culture has created this space that makes it scary to start something new because we can see with a few types on our keyboard, experts in areas, and we forget that they were a beginner too. We don't like to show up as a beginner. We often confuse these feelings of being an imposter with simply just starting something new or trying something new. And so I just think that when we start to get curious and we're willing to mess up or learn something new, our lives just are so enriched in ways that we can't even fathom. I have been writing more. I've been meditating more. I've been just really thinking about like, what content am I bringing into my life? Like more just like wholesome content, less trash. I've been reading more. I've just been slowing down and dang it, it feels so good. It's honestly a little bit hard for me to get amped up about work these days because there's just so much I want to do in my life. And I've never felt this way before. And so I'm just really curious about it and exploring it. One thing I'm really excited about is that this summer for my team, we're doing no launches. So no launches June, July, August. And I really just want to protect that time with my family and my kids and also protect that time for my team. And so it feels really exciting to be stepping into like 90 days of like just like slowness and like more methodical work. And I kind of can't wait to see what's revealed in it. And I'm also excited to see like what my kids make me curious about and things like that. The last question I've got to drop, because it's the title of my book, is just to ask yourself and sit with the answer is, how are you really? And I think that getting really honest about how you're really doing and where you're really at and what you're really needing to shift or change or where you're wanting to grow or what you want to try. It can be scary to answer that question because I know that a lot of us feel a deep responsibility that when we answer that question, and if that answer is, I'm not okay, that means we have to do something about it. But I have learned that so much can be revealed to us when we get honest and when we start to live out our truth, even if it doesn't make sense to other people. And so the last question is just, how are you really? And maybe it's a question to ask yourself. Maybe it's a question to ask your partner or your friends. Maybe you do a book club with my book. That could be an option too. But I hope that today's episode of the podcast lets you in a little bit into the self-discovery I've been very much enjoying and reminds you that you are someone outside of the roles you play. The roles you play are beautiful and valuable, but they are not the entirety of who you are and who you can become. And so I hope that it helps you to dream a little bit about what you want to fill your life with and how you want to live a legacy and not just leave one. And I honestly just can't wait to see the places in life where you find pockets of joy and peace. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Goal Digger Podcast. I hope you loved it. If you haven't yet, would you make sure that you are subscribed and take a minute to leave a review? I love reading your reviews, and this episode just feels incredibly personal to me. And so I hope it brought you as much joy as it brought me. And I appreciate you spending time with me and being with me today. So thank you. And until next time, keep on digging your biggest goals, but also make sure to dig up some dreams while you're at it. I'm over here giving you a virtual high five because you just finished another episode of the Goal Digger Podcast. Did that go by way too fast for anyone else? If you want more, head over to golddiggerpodcast.com for show notes and all the discount codes from today's sponsors. And if you're looking for a new crew of movers and shakers like you to bounce ideas and ask questions, be sure to join my exclusive community for Gold Diggers on Facebook. The link's waiting for you at golddiggerpodcast.com. Hey, Gold Diggers. Lately, I've been getting excited to finish furnishing our new home, which is why I want to tell you about a brand that we absolutely love, which is Article. I have been a fan and a customer of Article for years. I'm always blown away by the curated assortment of furniture styles they offer. They have mid-century modern, coastal, industrial, Scandinavian, and even boho designs. There is something for everyone, no matter your taste. In our last house, we had their sofa and leather chairs. At our lake house, we have their dining table and chairs. We also just ordered some of their outdoor furniture for our new patio. Like, if you can't tell, we are obsessed with Article. The quality and style are top-notch. Article's online-only model means that they can offer some great prices with fast and hassle-free delivery. Pick the delivery time that works for you, and they keep you updated every step of the way. Article's customer is also amazing. They're knowledgeable, friendly, and always there when you need them. If you're like me and you're itching to give your home a makeover, I highly recommend checking out Article. They believe in delightful design for every home, and thanks to their commitment to style, quality, and affordability, it's never been easier to transform your space. Article is offering our listeners $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. To claim, visit article.com/golddigger and the discount will be automatically applied at checkout. That's article.com/golddigger for $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more.